Hi, folks. It's Gary here, and very warm welcome back to the Fourth Official here on YouTube. I'm Gary. I'm your host, your face, and your voice of the Fourth Official. But you'll notice that we've got a special guest with us today, joining us from the Up the Poshcast podcast. That's easy for me to say. As Del, a very warm welcome to the Fourth Official.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much.
Now, we've invited you along, Dale, to chat a little bit about Emmanuel Fernandez. As Sod's Law had happened just after we recorded last night, the podcast video that we put out on YouTube regarding Joe Rothwell's signing for Rangers. Rangers then announced at 9 o'clock last night the signing of Emmanuel Fernandez from Peterborough United on a 4-year deal for an undisclosed fee. Now, lots of conflicting reports from various places there with regards to what that undisclosed fee looks like, but certainly Darragh McAnthony, the chairman of Peterborough, was very quick to come out and celebrate the deal as being something that's very positive, I think, for Peterborough United, and wanted to kind of get your thoughts on Emmanuel Fernandez and the type of player that Rangers have now acquired, because he is a player that certainly, until very recently, it wasn't one that was on my radar.
Now, well, to be fair, Manny, as we call him, he's obviously been with Peterborough for quite a while, as you've alluded to, come through the ranks. Last season, it's really bizarre with him because he started off the season quite well, which we was all quite surprised at, if we were honest, because the season before he was a little bit iffy. Then he had a really bad patch, and it was so bad. It was just like painful watching him. I don't honestly, you're all going to be worried about what I'm going to say, but you never know. He, couldn't trap a ball, and his positional play was a bit poor. And it's just very lethargic. We actually named him on our podcast as an equivalent Van Dyke shite, or whatever you want to call it. It was that bad. Okay. But then the last couple of games of the season, particularly when we played at Wembley against Birmingham, outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And we was like, well, where's this come from? And on his day, very, very good, but it's not consistent enough. And I know he's young, and I know he's obviously got a long way to go, but I think if you have a look at the reaction from Peterborough fans, we're like sort of, well, hey, see ya. Delighted with, as you say, there's a conflicting figures like 3.5 million, 1.75 million. Either of them will be delighted with. Even if it's 3.5 thousand, I'll be delighted with. That's a bit harsh. To be fair, we have got to still. We have pulled your pants down, in my opinion. I generally don't think it's going to be good enough for a Scottish Premiership team. But then again, hopefully he might have the right sort of backing with Russell Martin, who, as you probably know, used to play for Peterborough, very good defender in his day. He may have that support to get him to where he needs to be. Because I know I'm sounding a bit harsh on him. He has got potential. Let's be honest. He has got potential. But I'm not sure he'll be good enough for Glasgow Rangers, if I'm totally honest.
And I think certainly the reaction from Peterborough fans has been quite similar to that, Dale. If you look at social media, which is never normally a great place to go, because you get extreme opinions on there. So it's never the litmus test in terms of what we're actually going to see. And the proof will be in the pudding when he puts the jersey on and then you see him in action. 23 years old, so he's not a young kid, but as per centre backs go, still very young, still very raw, still got an awful lot of development to do. And that was something that Russell Martin stated in his comments on the Rangers website last night, stating that he is a young defender with a huge amount of potential. He's got a strong physical presence, can be a commanding defender, and in this environment, we can help him develop and provide him with opportunities to take his game to the next level. Looking forward to welcoming him into the group and getting him to work. And when you talk about Kevin Thelwell, who's obviously Rangers sporting director, again stating that he was impressed with his development from non-league football to League One, and looking to try and see what he can achieve at Rangers with the support of the staff on and off the park. So talking a lot about promise, and that makes me think that Emmanuel Fernandez might not come in and be automatically a first pick for Rangers next season, especially when you look at the continued links with players such as Connor Cody, the Wolves defender Nasser Jika, who are also heavily linked with coming in during this window. So Fernandez might not necessarily be first pick on the team sheet, but similar to Clinton Enciala, a young defender that Rangers signed last year from AC Milan, is someone that will be developed and cultivated and has got room to grow going into beyond the season, given a 4-year deal. So it's certainly not something that Rangers are looking for that immediate impact from someone like him.
No, and you know what? I know I've been a bit critical of him, but there is definitely there is something about him. You know, you always get these players. Some players are a good player, but they don't fit your club, and they'll go on and they'll be successful. Likewise, you know, Peterborough United over the years, we have brought in some players that have not been successful elsewhere, but they've come to Peterborough, they've been successful, and we've then sold them on for millions. I'll give you a quick example. We had Ricardo Santos. You must have heard of him. He's just been released by Bolton, to be fair, after a few years. We had him at Peterborough, and he was pony. And he reminds me of Manny, built like a brick shit ass. Sorry, I'm not sure if you swear, but you know, he's a big bloke, a big bloke, solid. And you know what? You would like to have him as your mate rather than an enemy. Is that big? Wasn't very successful for us. He's gone on to do other things, and to be fair, he's had a successful career. And fair play to him. I think Manny, you know, I think he will end up being good, but as you say, not immediately for Glasgow or Rangers. He'll probably need that year of bedding in, some proper coaching, and probably being around better players may help him. You know what I mean? Because like last season, for the last few years, Peterborough is always a very young team, a young squad, and sometimes you need to learn off of experience. You know, you mentioned there Connor Cody. I actually quite like Connor Cody, whilst I have no interest in any other league apart from league that Peterborough's in. I actually think he's a decent defender, and I generally think Manny will learn from him. So yeah, maybe not this season, but the season after you could have one. But what he will do, he will score you a few goals. There's no doubt about that. You know, you get somebody whipping the corners and crosses in. You know, Manny will be there. Just need to show him what target is, but he'll win 9 out of 10 headers. No doubt about that.
I think that's certainly an area that the Rangers need to be a lot stronger in, is that aerial presence. And no surprise with Fernandez coming in. Obviously, the link to the Burkina Faso defender Jika at Wolves as well. He's another unit of a player, 6'4". So it's certainly a profile that Rangers appear to be targeting and addressing that kind of soft centre that certainly Rangers had throughout last season. Given the fact that Jika, if he comes in, Rangers in talks with Jika at the moment, that would be a loan deal. Wolves paid 10 million for him in January, so that's not going to be a long-term option for him. So it could be the case that Fernandez is maybe seen as the long-term heir for that position, if he can grow, develop, get some games throughout the season. Obviously, Rangers playing in multiple competitions, that maybe gives the opportunity to rotate a little bit more than certainly what we had before. We've all seen that World Day goal where he jinks past 4 or 5 players. That's there, but also we've heard a lot about the performance he had in the game against Everton last season for Peterborough, where he was allegedly one of the stronger players on the park that day. Whether or not that fit with where Kevin Thelwell found them and kind of kept him on the radar potentially, but you do see that he is a player that's got that potential in him to grow.
100%. No, he has 100%. As I said, you know, he's had some cracking games. Start of the season, we was like, wow, where's this come from? Because we didn't see it the season before, and then it dipped off. But I think it actually has been made public that he has had a couple of personal issues for things that's happened in his private life. Maybe that had an effect on his performances. Possibly, you know, we're all human at the end of the day. So last season, majority of his performances were poor performances, but when he played well, he played very, very well. You say about the Everton game, yeah, he played very well in that game. The standout game for me, though, was at Wembley, as I've already said, at Wembley against Birmingham, against their strike force. He had him in their pocket. You know, he was outstanding. And if he played like that every single week, no disrespect, he would be probably bottom end Championship because he was that good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, bottom end Premiership. He was that good, but he hasn't got the consistency, and at the moment, hopefully it will come for you. But whatever the money we've taken off of you, honestly, it's a bloody robbery, mate. You know, we
Well, I
all
think
had a
that's
big.
what,
Sorry, we all
yeah, I
had a
think
good
that's
chat
one
about it
thing
on
that
our pod. Sorry, I keep jumping in. We all had a good chat on
you're all
our
right.
podcast about him, and you know, most of you jump in. I think there's a 10-minute segment on him from not just my opinion, others' opinions, and we're not all the same. We've all got different opinions, but one for the future, in my opinion, not for now.
Yeah, I think one thing that certainly can be seen from Rangers transfer activity, I think especially over the last few days, has been looking at players in around that kind of 22, 23 age bracket, links with Tello Asgard at Luton Town in advanced talks with us at the moment as well. So I think Rangers are certainly looking in that market of players that are maybe not quite at that level, but have got the potential to be at that level, because we saw last year with the likes of Hamzi Gaman, Rangers brought him in probably a year early in his development. He's one that's potentially going to look to get sold on again this year for a big profit. But if Rangers waited a year till they were maybe a little bit further under development, then at that point they're in a region where they maybe can't compete. So they would have to take a bit of a punt on some of these players to get them in at this level and then try and grow them under this kind of player trading model that they've been very vocal about having. Whilst we've got you on, Del, it would be remiss of me not to speak very quickly about Kwame Poku. He was obviously a player that was very heavily rated for a move to Rangers during this window again from Peterborough, but he ended up at the other Rangers, Queen's Park Rangers. But what type of player was Kwame Poku, and what have Glasgow Rangers missed out on by him not coming up to Glasgow?
Yeah, you definitely missed out on a player there, without a shadow of a doubt. None of it. We've had a couple of really weird transfer moves this season. Like, we was all like 100% Poku's coming up to Rangers. No doubt about it, he's coming up. And then to go to Glasgow, to Queen's Park Rangers, why? I don't quite understand it. Nobody can understand it. It's got to be for money, because I think, you know, the lure of playing in, you know, European football with Rangers, because he would be a starter for you. There's no doubt about it. In my opinion, he'll be a starter for you. But QPR, I don't know. But yeah, great player. Again, he's one that's sort of grown over the last couple of years of us. A couple of years back, we had Ephron Mason-Clark, went all the way up there. We sold him to Coventry. Poku was that next player, and yeah, we're all shocked he didn't go to Glasgow Rangers. To say you have missed out there. Without a doubt, you have missed out on a great, tricky little player who would have been a starter for you, in my opinion.
Big thank you to Del for joining us on this video this afternoon. Anyone that will share the link, obviously, to the show you did on Emmanuel Fernandez as well on our social channels. So encourage you to go and watch that to get a bit more detail. As always, here on the Fourth Official, we'll keep you up to date with everything that's happening in and around Rangers and Scottish football as it breaks over this summer. Certainly things speeding up over the course of this week in terms of transfer activity, both in and out of the club. But yeah, up the podcast. You can see the handle there. Go and drop them a follow. You can keep up to date with everything that's happening at Peterborough United across the season ahead. Wish you all the best for the season ahead, mate.